Yo, what is up YouTube? My name's Gurnaj Johal and I'm going to teach you about investing. This is video 1. Okay, wait, what am I wearing? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Whoa! What happened? Where did this come from? Well, that's the magic of video editing. Okay, so first things first. I'm going to tell you about why to invest. So let's start off with example 1. This is a chart by JP Morgan. So it basically talks about 3 individuals. It talks about Susan, Bill, and Chris. So I'm going to reenact the scenario for you. Okay, let's go. Hey, this is Susan. So I was thinking of investing for my retirement. Should I start investing now or should I wait until I'm 35 like you, Bill? Hey Susan, I think you're too young to invest. Well, I don't know, sometimes they say that investing early makes a huge difference. Hey Chris, I wanted to get a second opinion. So, I know you're like near retirement age. Should I start investing now? Or should I wait until I am 35 like Bill? I don't think you should listen to what Bill says. So, what is the actual answer? Is Bill right? Is Chris right?
Hey, what happened?
So, this is basically looking at a graph that maps out Susan, Bill, and Chris. But, so basically, if you look at from the first 10 years, this looks at if Susan contributed $5,000 every single year for the first 10 years. So that sums up to about $50,000 she contributes. By the time she hits, and she just stops. By the time she hits about age 65, she will have about $602,700 or 70. So on the other hand, if you take Bill's advice and you start at 35 and you invest all the way up to 65, you slave away 30 years of your life trying to get enough funds for retirement. So you will end up actually less than Susan. You'll end up with $540,741. So what this shows you is the power of investing early. If you actually follow Chris's advice, who's now near retirement, let's say for instance, he basically starts at 25 and he invests all the way up to 65. He puts $5,000 every year, and what that turns out to is about $200,000. And by the time he reaches the age of 65, he has more than $1 million of assets. So clearly investing early. And another way that's more instrumental is that if you look at the first 10 years, in the first 10 years, Susan was able to get 600 plus K, while Bill in the last 30 years could only get 540K, and he invested 3 times as much time. So basically, it's as if you add Susan and Bill's total of the first 10 years and the last 30 years, and you'll get Chris's total. So it tells you the importance of compounding. So a lot of people don't think about this. That's why it's very important to start early. But Gurnaj, do you think everyone has enough of money to invest? My point is actually that people should invest as early as possible. I understand some people don't have an income, some people have other debt, so you have to consider many different things. But starting early can make a huge difference. So this is leading on to my next point. Why do you invest? Well, every single year, there's something called inflation rate. So the US inflation rate is about 2%. So every year, your purchasing power of your dollar is worth 2% less than the previous year. So what does that mean? So basically, let's say you had to buy a Big Mac from McDonald's, for instance. So let's say the Big Mac was $4. By next year, it would actually be 2% on top of that. So it would actually be $4.08. So every year your money is worth less and less. And put it into perspective, if you leave your money in a bank account, for example, you put your money in a brick and mortar bank account at maybe a 0.01% interest. Or even if you're lucky, maybe you can get a 0.07% interest. Let's say it's a savings account. So even if you had, let's say, for a 0.01% interest account, let's say you had $1 million in that account. All you would get back is $100 each year, or the first year. And then it would compound and continuously, but $100 isn't enough. So investing is really important, and the reason why we invest is to beat inflation. There's other reasons too I'll talk about later. So Gurnaj, you're saying my brick and mortar bank is just paying me 0.01%? That's exactly what I'm saying. So one thing I will also tell you is it's important to have an emergency fund, because no one gets rich overnight. No one gets financially free overnight. So it takes years and dedication. So I suggest you have some cash that you can take offhand to pay your living expenses, etc., or an emergency, let's say you get laid off. So this brings me up to point 3. If you had a choice, wouldn't you want your money to work more for you than against you? Of course you would. Do these bright eyes lie to you? Okay, well, of course. So you would want your money to work for you later and later. So in that chart that I showed you earlier, this was based on an average return of about 7% with inflation adjusted. So inflation is about 2%, and actually the S&P 500, which I will discuss in a further video, it basically has an average return about 10 to 11% every single year. Well, Gurnaj, if S&P 500 has an average return of 10% every year, does that mean I'll get 10% richer every single year? No, actually, you will not get 10% richer every single year. Okay, maybe if you're lucky. But this is 10% overall, which means you might go up, maybe like 20%. You might go down quite a bit, like let's say 30% during an economic downturn in the market. So you can't expect 10% every single year, but overall the return is 10%. So the stock market is kind of like this. It goes like this, and then crashes, and then goes up and crashes. But it always is generally has a trend where it's upward. So going back to my point, it is very important to put more money in the stock market or another investment in your lifetime. So I prefer stocks, but you want your money to work for you. So for instance, if you're getting about 10% returns every single year, your money is constantly growing even though you're not working. So I will discuss this in another video, the differences between passive and active income. And then the last point I would like to mention is that financial independence or retirement. Well, I still have a long time to retirement. Maybe I shouldn't think about that. Wrong. Retirement will come closer than you think. So it's very important to think about it as soon as possible. Like I said, if you start early, it makes a huge difference in the long run. So what is retirement to the average person? Is it expensive yachts? Is it a cruise around the world? Well, actually, for me personally, retirement is having financial independence. It means that I have enough capital coming from, for example, rent, or if you know dividends in the stock market, I have enough capital that it can support my daily needs. So for example, the groceries I need every week, the car insurance, the health insurance, the property tax I have to pay every year, so things like that. Any other expenses like medical expenses, utility bills, phone plans, internet, etc. Your phone breaks down like this. Oh no! You better have a way to cover those expenses. If you keep investing more and more, let's say you get 10% returns, but because your portfolio gets larger and larger, the returns get bigger and bigger as time goes on. Now you know what financial independence basically means to me. And here's a definition. Which means that, like, if you work or you don't work, you're still able to meet your needs, you're still able to survive. And any extra money you have, you can just keep investing it. So this is how middle class people retire early. It's not some fancy, like they won the lottery or something. They retire early because of dedication. Education also makes a difference. There's many other factors. You have to have enough income to support your investments as well. And I'll lead you to one other point that is very, very important, especially for really young people. For example, people who just got their first job. Let's say if someone has a salary of 80K. So let's say next year they get a bonus or a raise, or they get money from some other income source. Let's say their salary goes from 80K to 100K, definitely well above inflation. Now they have a 20K extra. So what should people do with that money? Invest it, of course. Some people don't invest it actually. So a lot of people, what they do is that if they make more money, they think, oh, now we can buy a bigger place, now we can get a more expensive car, now we can go to that vacation we've always wanted. I'm not 100% discouraging you from enjoying life while you have it. Sure, you can go and maybe like spend a few extra dollars here and there, but you should have extra money left over that you have to invest that money. So some people don't do that. They don't know how much is coming into their bank account and how much is coming out of their bank account. And a lot of people inflate their lifestyles. A lot of middle class people want to retire early. They have to live the same lifestyle but invest the extra difference and do it as early as possible. There's something called the FIRE movement, and this goes off the FIRE movement. So today I've covered 5 things, all relating to why invest. First example I gave was the $5,000 each year example. Second is I mentioned inflation rates. I mentioned when you make more money, you invest more. Also, you want your money to work for you. And I mentioned financial independence and trying to seek that as fast as possible. I hope this gives you a better understanding of at least investing. And this is my first YouTube video. I will try to post once a week. Please hit that bell notification, like, subscribe. I'm going to try to get better, and hopefully I'll teach you some things from time to time. I have a bunch of videos planned out for you, not all relating to investing. I want to talk about credit card rewards, flight programs, a little bit about mortgage and how to do the amortization schedule. I hope you guys can follow me in this journey. Once again, my name is Gurnaj Johal. Hit that bell notification, like my videos, share, subscribe, tell your friends. This would really help me out. Okay, well, peace.